You know, you see it every day, but have you ever really thought about the story behind copper? Today, we're going to trace its epic journey, this crimson thread that weaves through all of human history, from ancient empires all the way to the very device you're holding in your hand. This is the story of how one simple metal literally wired our world.
So, what's the connection between, say, an ancient Mesopotamian bead and the entire global electric grid? It sounds like a riddle, right? I mean, on one hand, you've got this tiny handcrafted ornament from almost 11,000 years ago, and on the other, this massive, crazy complex network that powers our entire lives. How could they possibly be linked?
Well, the answer is copper. That's it. It's that crimson thread we were talking about, weaving through 10,000 years of history, connecting ancient artisans with modern-day engineers. It's been the unsung hero of our progress this whole time. So yeah, let's follow that thread, all the way back to the very beginning.
All right, so our story starts at the very dawn of metallurgy. Just picture it. A world built entirely from stone, bone, and wood. That's all we had. And then, one day, somebody finds this weird, shimmering rock. And that single discovery, it would literally mark the end of the Stone Age. So you might be asking, why copper? Why was it the first? Well, unlike something like iron, which is locked away deep inside ore and needs some serious heat to get out, pure copper nuggets could sometimes be found just lying on the ground. It was totally accessible. You could literally just pick it up and hammer it into a new shape. No crazy furnace needed. It was kind of like metallurgy on easy mode. Okay, so this timeline here shows two absolutely giant leaps. First, way back around 8700 BCE, you have the very first baby steps, just hammering pure copper into simple beads. But then, and get this, almost 4,000 years later, the real game changer arrives, smelting. The moment we learned to pull copper out of ore using fire, well, we weren't just finding metal anymore, we were making it. A huge difference. Look, making pure copper was a revolution, for sure. But the next step, it was even bigger. People started asking, what if we could make it even better? What if we could improve it? And humanity's next great idea was to just mix copper with something else. This created an alloy that would go on to define an entire historical era. So here's the deal. As useful as copper was, it had one big problem. It was pretty soft. I mean, it's great for making jewelry, but not so great for a durable axe or a sword that you need to rely on. But then, ancient metalworkers discovered that if you added just a little bit of tin to melted copper, you get bronze. And wow, everything changed. It was way harder, much stronger, and it held a sharp edge. It was basically a technological superpower for its time. And this one innovation, it was so profound, it gave its name to an entire 2,000-year stretch of history. The Bronze Age wasn't just about a cool new material. It was about more efficient farming, way more powerful armies, and incredible new art. And all of it, every single bit, was built on a foundation of copper.
Okay, let's jump way forward in time. We're heading to one of the greatest empires in history, Rome. And the thing about the Romans is they weren't just conquerors, they were master engineers. And they knew deep down that to build their incredible world, they were going to need a whole lot of copper.
For the Romans, copper was just everything. It was the coins in their pockets. It was the armor on their legionaries. It was the pipes carrying clean water through their massive cities. You know, from giant public statues to the plumbing in a private home, it was the essential metal of daily life. And here's a fantastic little piece of trivia for you. The very name we use today, copper, it actually comes from the Romans. See, they got a huge amount of their copper from the island of Cyprus. So they started calling it the metal of Cyprus, or in Latin, es cyprium. Over time, that got mashed down to cuprum, which, you guessed it, eventually became our English word copper. Pretty cool, right? All right, time for another massive leap forward. For thousands and thousands of years, copper was valued for two things: being tough and looking good. But then, in the 18th and 19th centuries, scientists discovered this. Hidden property. A secret power, really. And it would make copper more important than it had ever been before. What was that property? Well, it comes down to a number. 2. Second place. Out of all the elements on the periodic table, copper is the second best conductor of electricity. The only thing that beats it is silver, which is way rarer and way more expensive. And that one simple fact, it made copper the perfect material to wire up a brand new world. All of a sudden, copper wasn't just for pipes and statues. Now, it was the go-to material for sending telegraph messages across entire continents. It was what we used to light up our cities for the first time, to power the giant machines of the Industrial Revolution. Our modern, electrified, connected world was, and you know what, it still is, literally wired together with copper.
So that brings us right up to today. You might think, okay, surely by now we've replaced copper with some new, fancy, advanced material. Nope, not even close. Its story has just entered a totally new chapter, one that's all about massive scale and, well, a surprising amount of sustainability. Just let that sink in for a second. After 10,000 years of constant use, our demand for copper is actually higher right now than it has ever been. It's the third most consumed industrial metal on the entire planet. That makes it an absolutely critical piece of our global economy.
Okay, so where is all this copper coming from? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. You might be surprised to find out that nearly half of it isn't newly mined at all. It's recycled. See, copper can be recycled over and over and over again without losing any of its quality. That makes it a real cornerstone of a more sustainable, circular economy. And why do we need so much of it? Simple. Because it's everywhere. It's in the power lines that bring electricity right into your home. It's a key ingredient in wind turbines and solar panels. And yeah, it's inside the very device you're watching this on right now. That crimson thread we've been talking about, it now connects directly to you.
So, there you have it. From a simple ancient bead to the backbone of our digital and green energy future, copper's journey is really our journey. It's the story of humanity. And it leaves us with one last fascinating question. After being so incredibly central to our past, what new future are we going to build with this ancient, essential metal next?